The coronavirus has not only caused physical illness in some, but also mental issues in others.
Local experts say they've seen increased anxiety and depression, which can often lead to chemical dependency to cope with the pressures. As News 13's Emily McLeod tells us, it's even more troubling for those who already struggle with a drug or alcohol addiction.
COVID-19 has led to more people in our community dealing with anxiety and depression. In some cases, the anxiety or depression can be too much, and people turn to alcohol, drugs, or other substances to cope with those feelings. What may have started off in the beginning of the pandemic as a glass of wine or a beer a night has turned into bottles of wine or cases of beer a night.
The First United Methodist Church in Panama City hosts an all-inclusive recovery group called Celebrate Recovery. Its focus is helping those find recovery from any hurts, habits, or hang-ups. Senior Minister for First United Methodist Jeremy PRIDGEON says it's no surprise substance abuse issues have seen a spike during the pandemic.
You know, when you have a disruptive event of the nature of COVID and people then have to figure out how to cope, sometimes we don't do so in the best of ways, and we can move to using substance abuse. For our area, it's particularly a challenging time because this is the second disruption that we've encountered. Hurricane Michael was the first one, and we were already in a recovery cycle that presents those very same issues, and now we've added the second one with COVID. So we're in a very precarious time for the next several years when we look at the duration of how long it'll take for us to move from Michael and COVID back to some sense of what the new normal will be.
SUZANNE CLARKE, a licensed clinical social worker in Bay County, says the quarantine made it hard for people in recovery to find the help they needed to stay on track.
But now things are kind of settling in, and groups are starting to meet in person again, of course socially distancing, but things are starting to come around. We're starting to figure out like a new way to get support that moves more towards what it used to look like, but not quite yet 100%.
Those who struggle with addiction will say connection with others who are also in recovery is a big part of staying sober. Clark says even though recovery groups and therapists are offering online options, it might not be enough.
I mean, what I've been told is not nearly as helpful, because we're accustomed to going to the same place for meetings, the familiarity of the place, the familiarity of the people where the meetings are, those connections, those in-person connections, and those small conversations before the meetings, after the meetings. People were saying they were missing that, those connections, and especially when COVID hit right away, it was just a turn off, like switching off a valve. So immediately not having that support was really rough for people.
STACY RODOLPH, the Celebrate Recovery Ministry lead, has seen firsthand how detrimental forced isolation can be on a person in recovery.
I have been able to see a few of our forever family members and people in the community that I know during this time, these last 7 months, kind of go backwards. They were doing really well and just find themselves in that dark place again. But that doesn't mean that just because they fall backwards that there's not hope to move forward.
As a person who is in recovery for mental health, RODOLPH says in her experience it's easier to turn to other substances to cope with anxiety.
During this isolation time, I have even seen myself really sometimes wanting to withdraw and not go anywhere, and that's not well for my overall recovery. So I found aspects of like maybe overeating a little bit more, or eating substances or eating foods that aren't necessarily the right for me and some of the challenges that I have physically. So I do understand that there are those aspects where we turn to other behaviors or we turn to other substances to kind of cope with the isolation and the feeling of loneliness.
In a recent survey conducted by the Centers for Disease Control, 13% say they started or increased substance abuse to cope with the emotions of COVID-19.
If I hadn't been, I think, at this good place in my life, is there possible I could have backed into that?
RODOLPH says people in recovery are ready to get back to their in-person meetings so they can fully support each other once again. PRIDGEON also wants people to know that they are not alone in their struggle. There are people out there who feel the same. If you or someone you know is struggling with substance abuse, log on to the My Panhandle mobile app for a list of resources. In Bay County, Emily McLeod, News 13, Panhandle Street.